Hi, this is Fred Copestake, your host to the Selling Through Partnering Skills podcast. Based on the book, the podcast explores how sales professionals can use the power of partnering intelligence to take their selling to the next level. By combining the skills associated with better partnering and existing best practice, salespeople can ensure their approach is more modern and collaborative. There are 6 elements to PQ, and in each episode we look at how sales professionals have used these and how their insights can contribute to your success. And welcome to this episode of Selling Through Partnering Skills. I'm delighted to be joined by Bob Britton. Now, Bob wears many hats and I can't really keep up, to be honest. So, Bob, welcome. And could you introduce yourself, please?
Sure. Trust me, sometimes I have a hard time keeping up with which hat I'm wearing at the times, too.
Can you imagine for me then, eh?
So thanks for having me here. So the main thing I'm doing these days is I am Director of Sales Enablement for a cybersecurity firm, Netshurian. So that's my priority at the moment. Everything's prioritized around that. The second thing I do is I do have a consultancy, although at the moment it's sort of an idle. So if you want some free consulting, come see me, because I'm not really using it for any kind of income at the moment. But anyway, so there's that, and it's Sales Enablement Sherpas is that the consultancy is, and then thirdly, I am the chapter president of the Dallas chapter for the Sales Enablement Society. It's an all-volunteer organization, and I have about 200 people, give or take, under my charge that I help, kind of learn about the ropes of sales enablement. Brilliant.
So, I mean, eminently qualified to talk to us about your take on some of these parts of PQ. So, I mean, thank you so much for giving us a bit of your time.
Sure thing.
So, what we'll do, let's jump straight in and start thinking about the element of PQ that is trust. Trust, foundation for relationships, trust without which there's no communication. What's your take on that? How can salespeople develop this? How is it so important?
Sure. I mean, it's becoming more and more difficult, isn't it, to develop trust the more virtual we get, because a lot of trust, that interplay between people, is dependent upon most of the communication channel, which is nonverbal, right? So if we're talking about, getting rid of any kind of, face-to-face kind of selling, at least at the top of the funnel, that means that we have to find some way to develop trust right up front as fast as we can. And, developing that is really, it's a bit of an art form, but it's also a matter of you being really authentic and not trying to be a chameleon, so that you're trying to be whoever it is that the other person on the other side of the phone or video is. So the important thing when it comes to developing trust is, first of all, get as much of that visual communication going as you can. So you have to be turning on your cameras. You absolutely have to be. Matter of fact, it's even better if you can stand up, because they'll even see more of you. Because right, usually when we're in front of somebody on a camera, we're just either seeing their headshot or maybe a little bit above. You have no idea what their fingers are doing. You have no idea what they're tapping with, what they're playing with, or what their feet are doing. You have no idea. So, but as far as trust itself is concerned, and I don't mean to be like monopolizing this or anything, but one of the things about trust is that you really have to sort of understand, how it is these days that we're actually positioning ourselves with the customers, right? The old school way is to find a person's pain, right? And then what we do is there are so many methodologies out there that teach you to focus on the pain. Well, I have a question for you and everyone else out there. How often do you want to see your dentist?
Yeah, not if I can help it.
Right. I mean, so what you're doing, you associate your dentist with being in pain. And so the only time you want to see your dentist is when you're in pain, or for one of those checkups where you can digging around in your teeth and even causes you pain, right? So what you really want to do is don't focus so much on the pain as it is where it is that they actually want to be in the future. There's 2 types of value conversations that we can have with people. There's the point in time value, which is, picture the analogy I like to use is a boat on a river, and your customer is in that boat trying to fish, but he has alligators climbing in over the side of the boat. And so what you want to be able to do is you want to be able to give this person a gun and some ammunition to shoot the alligator, which is solving their immediate problem, okay? But then you want to have a conversation with either him or the skipper or the navigator or however big the organization is. And what you want to do is you want to say, okay, let's get you away from these alligators, shall we? And let's find out where it is we can actually take you so that you're not near those alligators anymore, so you don't have to worry about it so much. The concept here is that if you present yourself as giving somebody a solution, that's what they're going to look at you as. They're going to look at you as somebody that's giving them something that is going to solve something for a particular point in time, but not on an ongoing basis. So what you want to be able to do is you want to be able to, help them manage, not solve, but manage, because that's what businesses do. They're playing whack-a-mole constantly. Problems are going to pop up here and there, and you're either going to give them a mallet that hits this one hole, or you're going to help them manage all the holes that mole is popping up from when you're playing whack-a-mole. So what you really want to do is you want to help them manage their business. You don't want to necessarily give them a solution, because also the solution that you give them today, because the whole environment is changing so rapidly, a solution today might not be a solution 2 or 3 years from now. Might not even be a solution 3 or 4 months from now, given how fast things are changing. So really what you need to do is you need to position yourself not as a solution provider, but as a way to help them manage. And when you do that, you start to develop trust and you start to develop a partnership with them, as compared to just sort of a in and out, like a seagull going in and dropping something and flying away.
Wow. What an amazing piece of advice. Don't position yourself as a solution provider. Mm-hmm. That's stunning. But the way you've described it, and I love the alligator analogy, shooting these alligators all climbing in on the boat and then saying, by the way, there's no fish here anyway. You probably want to be up the creek around the corner, Mm-hmm. Oh, that's fun. Well, what a start. What a start. No, look, you monopolize the conversation, please, Bob. If you're going to give us stuff like that, that's fantastic.
No, your turn. Go.
No, I'm just here to ask questions. And look, it's easy for me to ask the next question because you're already talking about win-win orientation. If I'm helping you manage, if I'm helping you, because I'm kind of almost taken for written, I'll help you with the solution bit anyway. It's almost like part of managing, but we're taking it further and we're both going to get something out of it. Yeah. So win-win orientation, elaborate a little bit more on that.
Yeah. So win-win is kind of interesting because what we find ourselves doing frequently in sales is we look at the customer as something to be won. I mean, it's in our language, isn't it? I either won the deal or I lost the deal. So, and that's the way that sellers are approached, and that's the way that sales leaders are sort of programmed. You win or you lose deals. If you go back to the wonderful book that everyone has read and a lot of people have forgotten about it, which I'm sort of dating myself here, is The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Covey. And, he talks about the 6 paradigms of what you can actually have, win, lose, and lose, win, and, win or no deal. But the point is that what you need to do is you need to view your customer not as an object to be won, but you need to view them as somebody that's about to take a journey with you and your company. And this is another important point here is when we're selling, what we typically do is we'll sell, we're sort of programmed to sell the product. We're trying to push product, right? But what we need to do is we need to get away from that. And when we're developing trust with our customer, what we need to do is, first of all, sell the company, then you, then the product. And here's the reason why. Because the customer is going to be coming on board with the company, not you, the company. They're going to be with you long after, if you buy something that's, whether you still want to do solution selling or what have you, they're going to have this product for a number of years, or they're going to be with you in a management scenario for a number of years. Just remember that you're there as their Sherpa, if you will, to guide them into the company. And what you're doing is you're helping them find the solution. You're helping them develop trust in the entire company, not just you, the whole company. So sell the company first, sell yourself second, as well as other people in the company. Then you can get to the product. But unless you have that there, you're just another salesperson, another talking head coming in off the street, trying to hawk their wares.
Wow. Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. You think there's a danger of, though, them becoming too company and self-centered? And by self, I mean my company, and we're great, and we were founded in 1802, and the guy who set it up, he ended up making something out of matchboxes, which blah, 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 blah. And the customer's going, oh, what, really? Is there a danger you go too far that way?
Well, there's a balance to everything, naturally. You know, I mean, you don't want to promote the company and not have anything to do with. You know, you're going to be working with me very closely, right? You know, you have to do both at the same time. But usually, the company is something that most sellers don't really kind of get to, or they mention it in passing. You know, they'll throw up, what do? They throw up a slide saying, see all the pretty customers we have, and they throw up the logo slide, right? That has about 100 different logos on it, right? It's like, does the customer really care? That's what you have to ask yourself. Yeah, it's important. Okay, they have a little bit of reputation. They have some street cred. Great. Okay, now let's get down to brass tacks and see what it is we're actually going to do together. But the point is that they're buying not just you and the product, they're buying the entire solution. You know, total cost of ownership is something that they're going to be looking at, and they want to be assured that the company that they're with today is going to be around, you know, in 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, it's funny. I think, don't you guys sometimes call it the NASCAR slide?
Yes, the
Because
NASCAR
all the logos on the slide. Somebody said, you know, when you throw the NASCAR slide up, people just look at it and go, right, they're bigger than me, they're bigger than me, they're bigger than me. You're going to care more about them. And you deal with those guys? Well, they're nothing. What do you deal with them for? Oh, how weird. So actually, it's like a no-win slide. It doesn't. I know why you do it, but when that was pointed out to me, it did make me smile.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I mean, so as you say, this is all very good. Let's get down to brass tacks and let's talk about how we can work together, is what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where we're really moving into that collaboration space, isn't it? This interdependence, if we're using PQ terms, but it's this really, you know, what are we going to do together, if you like?
Right.
So how do we, once we kind of getting into that stage, what are some of the things, some of the ideas you've got that can help people with that?
Yeah, what you have to understand is there's automatically a contentious relationship between sellers and buyers. The buyers are looking at the seller coming in and saying, okay, they're going to try and separate me from my wallet. And they don't care about me. All they care about is, you know, how much money I have, or how much market share they can grab, or wallet share they can grab. The point is that you really need to depend upon each other. Here's the interdependence part coming in. What you need to do is you need to understand that we each have a role to play in getting this done. Okay. And rather than trying to hyper-personalize things so that it's, you know, you give, I give, that type of thing, one of the suggestions I make is to externalize the problem that they're dealing with. So that, just kind of think of it as like being on a whiteboard. And what you're doing is you're taking the problem, putting it up on the whiteboard, and what you're doing is you're saying, okay, here's how I would actually look at this. Here's how I'm looking at this. Here's some of the problems we see, the issues we see, and what do you think? And then you hand them the pen. And then, you know, they go at it then and they say, well, actually, this is kind of how I see it. And then this back and forth as to really trying to crystallize what the problem is in front of you is the start of the interdependence, because that way it's not looking at it from one vision or the other. It's looking at it from a joint vision. And then from there, you just simply, I shouldn't say simply, it can be complicated depending upon the deal, but you need to establish, you know, who's doing what the roles are, what the time expectations are. That's not something that the customer does or you do. It has to be done together. So there's a natural symbiosis that occurs when you're actually doing sales correctly.
Absolutely. That makes a load of sense. So externalize the problem is the little soundbite I take from that,
Mm-hmm.
which makes a lot of sense. Not sure about handing them the pen these days, but we will take that metaphorically.
Sure.
But no. So who's doing what? What has to be done together to make this happen? That's all good. And I think that also, again, leads us into this element of self-disclosure and feedback, because the self-disclosure bit is about the more that you understand about me, how I operate, then great. We can make shifts if we know more about the other person. But I think the feedback is quite interesting in that we're doing this stuff together, but you know what, Bob? You're not really pulling your weight. That's a tough thing for a salesperson to say, isn't it? Potentially, or I don't know. What are your thoughts?
It is, but think of the good relationships that you're in with a friend or significant other, that type of thing. There's a certain openness and honesty that you have to get to. And look, we're not talking about selling pens. Okay, we're not talking about paper clips or widgets or pipe fittings or anything like that. We're talking about solutions here which really do require something beyond commoditization, and just simply selling things that can be sold programmatically, bought and sold programmatically. We really aren't talking about finding a solution. You're charting a path forward. You can't chart a path forward with a friend or a significant other without having some sort of a clear and open discussion, right? So yes, there's a certain degree of privacy. I mean, I myself, for example, I am very open when it comes to things such as sales enablement, selling whatever we're doing. From a private life, I only share my private life with certain people. So friendliness, I guess, is on a continuum, a scale of continuum, and openness and honesty. Just use your best judgment. You might not want to have everybody knowing about your personal life, but just use your best judgment when it comes to doing that. There's no hard and fast rule here. You just have to gauge it.
There isn't, and that's why it's a human activity, this stuff, isn't it? And it is gauging. And look, I am going to have to tell you, potentially you're not doing the bit you should be doing, but is the timing right? Or how do I do that? Actually, are we at the place where I can do that comfortably? And the faster we get to that, the easier it is for me to say that. And you might say, oh, good, I'm glad you said to me, Fred, because I wasn't sure anyway. Or, oh, I didn't even realize, mate. Okay, fine. It's a big one, but I do feel there's a lot of salespeople that when you talk about that and sort of say, this is part of your job, really. Oh, no, you can't say that to the customer. It's your job. Actually, you're bringing value by doing that, I think.
Yeah, I mean, look, the important thing about sales is that it's a conversation between two people. It's you have to humanize it. So often we'll try to codify it, turn it into a science and put rules around it. But really, what it is a conversation between two people trying to solve a problem, a common problem. And the way that you get there is by a certain amount of vulnerability. I mean, one of the things that you learn when you start getting into, for example, storytelling, is how to be vulnerable when you're telling a story. You usually have to start with some sort of a personal story. The analogy I like to use, honestly, is, and I've been married for 27 years, and so I've been together with my wife for 31. So I'm a bit out of that game, the dating game, but I do remember the basics of it. And the point is that, when you're talking to people, how do you actually get a person to be interested in you? The analogy that I use here is dating. If you're walking into a bar, for example, and you sit down with somebody next to you and you want him or her to get interested in you, how do you do it? Do you automatically just simply tell them your entire life story in one big breath and go? That's how a lot of sellers sell. They just walk in with an agenda. They want to just basically throw up all over the other person, right? And if somebody did that to me back when I was, single, I would have just shied away from them. Like, this person's a little weird. But how do we do it? We actually tell a little snippet about ourselves, and then they tell a snippet back. You tell a longer snippet, they tell a longer snippet back. The trick with storytelling, and this is where a lot of people don't really get the message on storytelling, is that it's not a repackaging of what it is that your normal message is, your normally marketing messages. It does a couple different things, a good story will. One, it makes whatever it is that you're saying relatable to the rest of the company. Remember that the people that we're selling to inside of a company typically are not sellers. They're purchasers, they're managers, they're directors, but they're not salespeople. So they don't know necessarily how to position things correctly. What they can do is they will remember a story and can relate a story if you tell a good one, because that's the oldest form of communication, storytelling. People will sit around a campfire and you know what? The story is the same year after year after year because it's a good story. A good story is relatable inside the company. The second thing that most people miss the boat on when it comes to storytelling is that it's not about you telling the story. It's about you telling the story, shutting up, and then kind of getting the other person to tell you their story back. It's that backplay, that echo, that mirroring of the story that people, that's where the gold comes in. So what you want to do is you tell your story, shut up, and you listen very carefully for how they respond with their story. Because blended into that story is going to be all kinds of good information that you can use to either expand your conversation with this person, develop the trust that you need, or they're going to uncover some issue that they're having inside their company that you weren't aware of. So story is probably one of the most critical aspects to good sales, which can be done either virtually or in person.
Brilliant. I love, again, another beautiful expression, the echo of the story. I like that. I mean, that really speaks to me. Yeah, literally, usually I'm quite one for puns and stuff, but no, that I hear that one. I really do. I love it. Love it. Probably the title of the episode. Cool. So again, yeah, let's keep moving on. I could just talk about just that for the next couple of hours, but yeah, I know you could. We've got to watch ourselves. So let me move on to the next thing then, and just talk about this element of PQ, which is comfort with change. And so salespeople being involved with change. I feel as though I might have opened up another 4-hour discussion.
Yeah, I mean, look, here's what you have to get across to people is that growth doesn't happen in your comfort zone. Growth happens outside your comfort zone. Okay. So if you're going to grow, if you're going to become a better person, a better salesperson, a better whatever, you're probably going to be a little uncomfortable getting there. Embrace that. You know, in the military, I was in the U.S. Navy, and when it came time for us to do like physical training or doing something that was particularly arduous or what have you, the term we used was "embrace the suck." Okay?
New title for the episode, Bob.
So what we do is we sort of become accustomed to it. We say, okay, this is going to be hard, but you know what? We're going to get through it. I think Winston Churchill, let's go back to your country here. Winston Churchill actually had a great saying. He said, if you're going through hell, keep going. Okay, so that is really what you need to do. Change is going to happen whether you want it to or not. And you can either resist it or you can go along with it and get through it. My advice to people is always go with it and get through it as compared to trying to buck it.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Go with it, get through it. Yeah. Embrace it. I love that. I can't hear Winston Churchill saying it quite like that, but no, it makes such sense. It makes such sense. So, and I guess that does lead us into the other element, or the last element, if you like, which is future orientation. Because I guess if you're going through hell, it's because you can see the stuff on the other side. You know why you're doing this stuff. You've got that vision, if you like. So future orientation, again, you know, love your thoughts around that.
Yeah, I mean, we're all adults here, so there's no expectation that we're actually getting married when we're doing business, right? It's not as though we're going to be together forever. It's as that we're together on a journey for a period of time, and then we're going to split. You know, so the future orientation is going to be for some period of time. And I think that everybody kind of understands that. It's different than being, you know, with a significant other who you expect to continuously compromise with in order to stay together. I mean, marriage, that's what it's about. It's about saying, okay, I'm going to give this up for you and you're going to give this up for me. And we're going to keep going. But business is a little bit different. Business, we have shorter term relationships than we do. Sometimes it can be a lifelong, absolutely. But most businesses don't survive much past one generation. Very few actually last for 2 or 3 generations, right? So, which we have to understand, and I think most buyers and sellers understand this, that it's a short-term relationship. That said, don't make it a 1-week relationship, where all you're trying to do is get their money, win, lose, right? All you're trying to do is just win and then move on to the next customer. What you do need to do is you need to, again, this is why it's so important for you to make sure that they're okay with the company as well. You hand them off to another person in the company. And then, inside the company, what they're doing is they start a new relationship, a future orientation, if you will, with the company based upon another person and another part of the journey that they're on with that company. We all have a role to play. And your role as a seller is to bring them into the company, figure out how it is that they actually fit together. If there's a good fit, bring them aboard, hand them off to the other people in the company that are going to be doing what it is that they need to do. And then maintain a relationship with them as they go forward to see if something else pops up. I've had some beautiful relationships. Personal relationships come out of selling. And those are rare, but they really are great when they occur, because you're getting person to person, not some sort of an objective, I have a problem, let's solve it type of relationship. So honestly, as far as the future orientation is concerned, you really have to sort of set your goals correctly. Don't be too myopic with it. And just remember that it's not a clean stop to any type of relationship. What it is a gentle handoff to the next role, to the next phase of their journey with your company.
Brilliant. Oh, again, there's some fantastic piece of advice in this. Really are. Thank you so much. And so I'm just aware of time now, because I could go back on all of these and just pick your brains even more. But just thinking about the future orientation then, just as we sort of start to wrap things up a little, what about you? What about the future? What's that got in store for you?
Oh gosh.
What? Wasn't expecting that one.
Yeah, no. Usually in these things, I get some sort of something out of left field here. Okay. So, it's interesting. What drives me is having an impact on a company, right? So impact, a certain amount of autonomy, being able to develop people. So long as that exists with whoever I'm with, I'm in it 100%. So long as I can continue to have an impact, I'm not going anywhere. But when it starts to slide off, if the company is moving in a different direction that might not be addressable, by what it is that I do, I know that there's somebody out there that I will fit with. Right now, I'm in a great spot. But as I move forward, you just can't tell, right? I'm not worried about it, I guess, is a better way to put it.
No. I'm footloose and fancy free. I don't get. No, you didn't say that at all. No, I like what you're saying. So it's about having that impact. I think a lot of us in the positions we're in, we like that, and when we're not, it's like, oh, okay. And it could be because actually we've had the impact that we can, and the guys are in a place where actually they're off and they're doing stuff for themselves, and that's really fulfilling, isn't it? That's really good.
Yeah, it is. Being able to leave your mark, I guess, is really a good one. If you can, like right now, I'm trying. Everybody that's been here before and written a book understands this. I'm trying to get a book out the door.
Sorry, you know why I'm giggling at that one.
But I can't stop writing. I can't stop changing. I can't put a stick in the ground and say this is the book, because everything keeps changing around me and I want to keep addressing it. So I have to stop writing. That's what I have to do, and I actually just get it out the door. But yeah, that'll help as far as my having an impact. It'll kind of get out there and no.
Look, and if that book, well, of course it's going to be like the stuff you've just been sharing with us. That's going to be a good one. It really is. So come on, please Get it done. Done is better than perfect. This is what I ended up keep saying to myself. We need more of this stuff that you've just been very kind in sharing with us.
Sure thing.
So no, look, thank you so much. I know I usually ask at this stage, how do people get in touch with you? But bearing in mind what you said earlier on about the fact that any consultancy is going to be free, you might not want me to share the details. No,
that's fine.
apart.
I have no worries. It's it's SESherpas.com. You can just go ahead and find me, my phone number, and everything that you want to do, some sort of a contact form. Just go to that website and you'll be able to get a hold of me easily.
Brilliant. No, look, thank you so much, Rob. We do really appreciate your time.
Sure thing. Absolutely. Happy to be here, Fred.
Thank you for listening to the Selling Through Partnering Skills podcast with me, Fred Copestake. If you liked it, why not leave a review? If you didn't, also leave one. Remember, it's all about the feedback. If you want to learn more about your own PQ, why not go to the book website, which is www.throughpartnering.co.uk, and there you can take a little self-audit. And of course, if you want to get in touch to talk about how you can use partnering skills, you can find me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. So until next time, keep thinking about how you can adopt a more modern and collaborative approach to selling by selling through partnering skills.